I saw this trend recently on social media where 90s and a lot of people said, "Oh, and I understand why they would agree because born in '94 but grew up in the 2000s." But I'm gonna be honest, the '90s was a great era of basketball. You had Michael Jordan, you had Shaq, you had a young Kobe, you had a young Iverson. You know, the Bulls had 6 titles. You know, the Spurs were on the rise, beat the Knicks in '99. The Knicks were actually good. And at that time, also like the Toronto Raptors were new. The Vancouver Grizzlies were also new, even though that wasn't really a failed experiment. That was really bad management, excuse me. And it seemed like in sports in general, not just the NBA, this had like a lot of balance. It was like a balance of power of all the stars. You know, NBA had Jordan, Pippen, Shaq, Penny, Charles, Hakeem, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning. You can like just go a whole list and you can still like memorize most players in the NBA in the '90s. In the NFL, there was Steve Young, Dion, Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, a young Randy Moss, Troy Aikman, all them type of guys. In the NHL, there was Lemieux, Yadomir Yager, Eric Lindros, Mark Messier, Gretzky, Martin Brodeur, and those guys. In baseball, you had like, even though those guys took steroids, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, all them type of dudes too. And you know, it's just like that was just a great era, not just in basketball but in sports. But I think what happened was like what this we done with the '90s thing is it's like with any other generation. There are people younger than me, like all they known was like LeBron and Steph Curry and those guys because that's the guys they grew up on, and they were just going through these TikToks and even people on the internet with these cherry pick stacks bashing Michael Jordan. I know Michael Jordan's maybe he's probably not a good person, like him as a basketball player, but probably not a good person. But I don't. I'm not gonna say LeBron's the greatest of all time because Jordan is. LeBron's good in his era, but like you can't really compare that. And I think this whole thing with my thoughts of we're done with the '90s is this is like a deeper thought about nostalgia. What I would say is that era was fun, exciting, eventful. Like NBA, every NBA game felt like an event. Even like the years when Jordan wasn't in the finals, when the Houston Rockets beat New York in 7 games and swept Orlando, that felt like an event. But I'm gonna be honest, those were fun times. If you grew up on those times, those I know it must have been amazing seeing even in the '80s too. But it's like I'll be honest, we can't come back to those times. As fun and as nostalgic as those times were, if you grew up with that, it's just that time's long gone. And this is like another topic, not even a sports topic, but sometimes people do this because I've done it myself. People use nostalgia to escape the reality of now or when they're not enjoying the present. You know, it's like, for example, like I grew up in the 2000s NBA, so I remember when I was a kid, it was Iverson on the Sixers, and then you got the Pistons with Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, and all them guys. You know, a young LeBron with Cleveland, Shaq and Dwayne Wade in Miami, Vince Carter and Jason Kidd with the New Jersey Nets, Melo and Kenyon Martin with the Nuggets too. And I remember even when I was a kid, people were saying compared to that era to Jordan, it wasn't as bad. Heck, like even like after '98 when Jordan retired, the ratings went down. And that whole '98 '99 NBA short end lockout season, in my opinion, that was a transition from the Jordan era to the 2000s, straight up. You know, but I digress. And it's like a lot of people who will get mad at these TikTokers for looking at these cherry picked statistics and all that are saying like you're saying you didn't grow up in the '90s. I grew up with an amazing thing. And you know what's going to be funny 10 years from now or 20 years from now? They're going to say the same thing about the 2010s in the 2020s. It's like, you didn't grow up Steph Curry like I did. It's just a general cycle, you know. And sometimes with nostalgia, especially like in sports, you could be so nostalgic about a period, you could miss out on something that's great happening right now. Like, look at the Denver Nuggets. Look at Jokic and all of them. That wasn't a super team. That wasn't even like a yeah, I was correct. That wasn't even a super team. That was a homegrown built team. All those players they acquired for the draft, free agency, and they built that. And some people may miss out on that because they miss a time when, you know, it was just fun for them. You know, like I said earlier, some people and I've done it too, use nostalgia, especially when they're not enjoying the reality of now. And I've seen that a lot on the internet. People don't enjoy the reality of now. But you know, I digress. That I digress. Every era has its thing, and it's gonna happen for the next couple of years. So that's my thoughts on we're done with the '90s. I wouldn't say we're done with it because it's a part of history, but you know, Just time moves on. Peace.